WOKR 13 in Rochester.
Good evening, I'm Dick Burt.
And I'm Loretta Carroll. If you've been out on the roads tonight, you know that driving can be extremely hazardous.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is NewsCenter 13 with Dick Burt, Don Alhart, meteorologist Bill Peterson, and Fred Cowgill on sports.
Good evening. On the night before his annual State of the Union address, the president is taking some heat.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is NewsCenter 13 with Doug Empledge, meteorologist Glenn Johnson, and Mike Hadeen on sports.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Well, the big spring fishing derby ends tomorrow, and fishermen will try one more time to make a prize-winning catch.
From Rochester's NewsSource, WOKR. This is NewsCenter 13 with Don Alhart, Wanda Miller, meteorologist Bill Peterson, and Doug Empledge on sports.
Good evening. Another holiday season has come and gone. For many, it's time to get back to work and back to school tomorrow in just a few hours.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is NewsSource 13, first at 5.
Good afternoon. Just a week ago, many people had written him off.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is NewsSource 13, Rochester's first choice for news.
Good evening. The small community of Palmyra is surging tonight.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is NewsSource 13 at 11.
Good evening. I'm Jenny Ryan.
And I'm Don Alhart.
You're watching NewsSource 13 at 11 with Don Alhart, Jenny Ryan, Chief Meteorologist Bill Peterson, and Mike Catalana on sports.
A key witness for the defense has finally taken the stand at the O.J. Simpson murder trial.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is NewsSource 13 at 11.
Good evening. I'm Don Alhart.
And I'm Jenny Ryan. The Rochester police officer.
You're watching NewsSource 13 at 11 with Don Alhart, Jenny Ryan, Chief Meteorologist Bill Peterson, and Mike Catalana on sports. NewsSource 13, more local news, more local experience.
They're being called heroes. 5 Rochester police officers.
From WOKR, Rochester, this is NewsSource 13 this morning. You're watching NewsSource 13 at 11 with Don Alhart, Jenny Ryan, Chief Meteorologist Glenn Johnson, and Mike Catalana on sports. NewsSource 13, more local news, more local experience.
From WHAM Rochester, this is 13 WHAM News this morning. You're watching 13 WHAM News this morning with Doug Empledge, Norma Holland, Holly Maynard, and meteorologist Marty Snyder. 13 WHAM News, more local experience. From WHAM Rochester, this is 13 WHAM News Midday.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us this midday. I'm Norma Holland.
And I'm meteorologist David Aldrich.
You're watching 13 WHAM News at midday with Norma Holland and meteorologist David Aldrich. 13 WHAM News. More local news, more local experience. From WHAM Rochester, this is 13 WHAM News at 5.
And good afternoon, I'm Jenny Ryan.
I'm Doug Embley.
From WHAM Rochester, this is 13 WHAM News at 6.
Good evening. They were just youngsters when they essentially lost both of their parents in an instant.
You're watching 13 WHAM News at 6 with Don Alhart, Chief Meteorologist Glenn Johnson, and Mike Catalana on sports. 13 WHAM News. More local news, more local experience.
Some concerns about animals in Irondequoit, and town leaders will host a meeting Wednesday.
From WHAM Rochester, this is 13 WHAM News at 11.
Good evening.
You're watching 13 WHAM News at 11 with Don Alhart, Jenny Ryan, Chief Meteorologist Glenn Johnson, and Mike Catalana on sports. 13 WHAM News. More local news, more local experience.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 WHAM News at 11.
Good evening. If you go
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 WHAM News this morning, now in high definition.
The trial begins today for this teen accused of attacking another teen in a Henrietta Wegmans back in January. Alexis Arnold has that story coming up in just a few seconds here. Good morning, 5 o'clock Wednesday, the 12th of October. I'm Doug Embley.
And I'm Norma Holland. Thanks for joining us.
Breaking news alerts and your weather authority forecast. With Doug Emblidge, Norma Holland, Adam Chodek, Jennifer Johnson, and meteorologist Marty Snyder. This is 13 WHAM News and high definition, your breaking news and weather authority.
Marty was singing the song, the theme song for the morning show.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 WHAM News at 5 in high definition. From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 WHAM News at 6, now in high definition.
Good evening. A pilot who went down with his small plane in Yates County last night.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 WHAM News at 10 on Rochester CW.
Accused of sexually abusing one girl, this former Grease bus monitor is now suspected in other cases. Good evening, I'm Jenny Ryan.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 WHAM News at 11, now in high definition.
I'd probably just treat my family to a nice cruise or something.
Breaking news alerts and your weather authority forecast with Don Alhart, Jenny Ryan, Chief Meteorologist Glenn Johnson, and Mike Catalana with sports. This is 13 WHAM News and high definition, your breaking news and weather authority.
You're watching 13 WHAM ABC. And this is Good Day Rochester.
That devastating earthquake in Italy turned even more deadly overnight. Rescuers now continuing their search for survivors, racing against the clock, if you will. An update on the damage and some moments of hope. These moments are what people are clinging to, and they are incredible. We're going to show you them this morning. Good morning, everyone. It's 5 o'clock on this Thursday, August 25th. I'm Norma Holland.
You're watching 13 WHAM ABC. And this is 13 WHAM News Midday.
New this midday, the number of flu-related deaths in Monroe County is spiking as we enter spring. In fact, we might still have a few weeks left in this flu season. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Johnson.
You're watching 13 WHAM ABC. And this is 13 WHAM News at 5.
A former Rochester judge on trial. The focus today, the Maverick 88 shotgun that prosecutors say she tried to buy last April. Leticia Estacio is accused of attempting to buy that gun in violation of her probation for DWI. Good afternoon. I'm Jenny Ryan.
And I'm Doug Emblidge.
You're watching 13 WHAM ABC. And this is 13 WHAM News at 6.
Testimony begins in the trial for a former Rochester judge today. The gun prosecutors say Leticia Estacio tried to buy, and a juror abruptly dismissed. That juror seated in the gun trial of former Rochester City Court Judge Leticia Estacio admitted watching a news broadcast identifying Estacio as a former judge.
You're watching 13 WHAM ABC. And this is 13 WHAM News at 11.
This is hard, sitting here doing nothing and just waiting.
The father of fallen Rochester police officer Daryl Pearson. It has been a very long wait for the families involved in the trial of Thomas Johnson III. Good evening. Multiple charges, one jury. 13 WHAM News. More local news, more local experience.